This is all sewn with sinew. Sinew threads that I've twisted together. So the sinews, they're pretty strong. You can take them all the way down to this. So I split mine all out and then I twist them, and then you take and twist them into threads to use. It's not the stitching that goes back and forth that makes it waterproof. It's the way your seam is folded, and then when it folds out, the way the piece that's folded comes out, it acts kind of like a gutter. It's a couching stitch. It keeps your stitches from pulling and tearing your product. So if you fold it outside to outside, the bottom piece folds to the inside.
One is on the inside, the other one's on
The right side's facing always when you sew.
each other.
And then you sew. My stitch is going to go over that. I spent a lot of time doing this. I saw the stitch, and everything I read in the books were like you do a running stitch and then you take another needle later and run back through, and as a sewer that didn't make any sense to me. That seemed like a lot of work. So I sat down and I figured out how I could hold it all with one hand and work both pieces at the same time. So I'm going to put my needle in. Actually, I'm going to catch over that. And then I'm going to go through this loop. And then before I pull my needle down, I'm going to tighten this up. So I'm going over the piece here, and then it's putting it in place so that I'm going to go over it on the next stitch there. But now, so there's a piece already in place where that stitch is coming out. So now, before I take the next stitch, I'm going to wrap this back around, and I'm going to go over that piece. And so that's now that running stitch is going over this thread twice. So that's double couching. There's two of those threads. And this keeps your edge nice too. So you can see the stitch is going to come down and around. And then on this side, now when this stitch comes over and tightens, it's going over that two times. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a loop on that side to go through, and I'm putting my end next to my running stitch so I can go over it on this side. It's double couched and it's done so it doesn't rip out. If you're making a waterproof garment, you want to be able to pull your stitches and seams tightly closed. And this way you could do that. I could pull that thread really tight, but it can't tear through either of those holes because that prevents it from going through. This stitch too, there's a specific, especially when you're doing it decoratively, you can do it on the outside and it makes a really pretty decorative stitch. And you just have to practice with the depth of your stitch and the length of your stitch to get it to look right so that you see all the pretty, how it loops up and down and back and forth properly. And it usually takes me a good, if I haven't done it in a while, it'll take me a good couple inches to figure that out. So when you look at this stitching, see how that far apart those are? Those are never gonna reach. So you kind of have to arrange your stitches. So, and I assume that has to do with how it holds together. Like it'll properly hold your garment together with the proper length and depth of stitching. So see how everything's loose here? Like I have to tighten it up and snug that up before I pull my needle through, because if I pull my needle through first, then it loosens this part up more and then it just scrunches everything together. It looks like what almost every gut seam looks like. It's used almost always on a gut seam. And it can use, like I said, it'll be used decoratively. It opens up. It makes that lay flat.
Yeah.
And you can see even like how tight you can pull. You're able to pull your stitches really tight together.